We are going to go to Nikole Killion, who is with Speaker McCarthy right now. Let's take a listen.
Passed before September 30th. Tonight there'll be a rule to bring up 4 more bills for us to pass. If we are able to pass 4 more of those, along with the one we passed before, that would be 72% of all the funding of the discretionary bills that needs to go through. The other way that we can continue to make government open and keep working, you've watched even on your reporting about what's happening along the border, where these trains are just bringing people across. El Paso mayor is what he said, and it's at a tipping point. The New York governor telling people to go somewhere else. The New York City mayor saying it's breaking their city, or the governor of Massachusetts declaring an emergency. They're far from this.
Why are you tying border to government funding? I mean, people just want to make sure that they have a job. I understand it's an important issue to you. There's comprehensive immigration reform. Why are you making this such a sticking point to keeping the government open?
Because it's so easy, because the House and Senate didn't pass a new bill that created the border to be so destroyed. It was simple policies that the president made. It's the policies the president made. And what are you seeing today? The highest number ever that are coming across. And if you think, oh, you got to keep things open, you have cities that are now saying they can't sustain. It's the #1 issue in New York. The #1 issue in New York, even how far away. We have 300 Americans who will be poisoned from fentanyl that comes across there just today. So that's the equivalent of an airliner crashing every day in America. And we're supposed to ignore that? All it does...
But you know that's dead on arrival in the Senate.
Why would it be dead on arrival? Why wouldn't the president, all he has to do is reverse the actions that he has taken that have failed. He didn't even have to take a lift of government. He can systematically himself say, you know what? I want to keep government open. You know what? I want to make Americans to make sure they're safe. I'm going to listen, maybe if I don't even want to listen to Republicans, but I want to listen to Democrats. Some of the highest elected Democrats in his party are asking him to do something about it. This is an easy way, keep government open, so hopefully the Senate can pass a bill eventually, while the House finishes theirs, and secure our borders so fewer Americans have to die. The country is more secure. We're going to save more money in the process as well. You know, we caught more people on the terrorist watch list in the month of February than we did in the entire last administration. They're not coming from 3 countries. They're coming from 160 other countries. The ones we caught from Yemen coming into California, do you ever wonder why are they coming, who they're talking to, or what do they have planned? We know what a few individuals can do to our nation when they want to come and do something wrong. So I don't think it is a partisan issue here. All it means is the president should acknowledge what he has done is wrong. It is not working. Every day is a new record.
But if he doesn't acquiesce, are you willing to shut down the government open?
What is happening here, if the president wants to shut the government down because he thinks the border should continue to run like this, I don't know.
So you can't pass
the bill. I know we could get a continuing resolution through the House. I think it could get through the Senate, because Schumer as the leader, if he listened to his mayor and his governor, they would want it. All it takes is the president to acknowledge, yes, the border is a problem. And you know what? Let's do that. Let's solve this border problem and work and finish the rest of our business.
Are you ruling out a clean CR? Are you ruling out a clean CR without any? Are you ruling out a clean CR? Are you ruling out a clean CR without any border security measures?
You know what's so concerning here? What do you tell to the families that tomorrow morning going to wake up and their child's dead because fentanyl came across?
But I mean,
what are you going to tell to that border agent that you saw the other day? Now, his network doesn't believe it, but he's all in blood. Or the cartels, the billions of dollars they're making, or the young girls that get raped.
But what do you tell to the workers who are concerned they're going to get furloughed next week because there is no agreement in either chamber, sir?
I know, and it's easy. All the president has to do is say, you know what? As one of my fundamental jobs as the President of the United States is to secure a border.
So that's
and that border is not secure. Secure that border and we'll be able to keep it all open and keep it all worked out.
If we see the roll votes fail later today, Is it possible to even move on to a CR for you?
Oh, yeah, I never give up.
Mr. Speaker,
I know that, but you think you have the votes.
I've got a lot of things I can try.
Mr. Speaker, are you
acknowledge, though, at the end of the day, you have to cut a deal with Democrats to keep this government open.
Exactly.
So why not put aside those folks on the far right who are not going to agree with you on what you're doing here? Cut a deal with Hakeem Jeffries. Try to get a bipartisan deal. Why don't we
just cut a deal with the president?
But you did that back. You did this in the spring, and he says he has not lived up to that deal.
No, totally. Listen, the president, all he has to do, it's only actions that he has to take. He can do it like that. He changed all the policies on the border. He can change those. We can keep government open and finish out the work that we have done for both sides.
Are you asking for a meeting with the president to solve this issue?
I think it would be very important to have a meeting with the president.
Do you think that could happen this week?
Past this kind of deadline here, that there's going to have to be some sort of technical shutdown because of the amount of time it takes to process. And the Senate really explain why.
Because every time the Senate tells me it takes too long, and then I ship them something like a debt ceiling gets faster than they ever dreamed that it's possible.
Mr. Speaker,
I know you get an agreement together, we find the ability.
But Mr. Speaker, you've been talking a lot about the border today. Are you?
I've been talking about the border.
Yeah, you've been talking a lot about the border throughout this whole process. Are you willing to shut down the government if you do not get border security a deal that you are happy with?
Let's be very clear. It would not be on us. The Senate has how many bills has the Senate passed?
None.
Okay. The House?
One.
Okay, and then today we take up, that'd be 72% of all that we have to do. They've done nothing. Just like in the debt ceiling, how many bills did they bring up during the debt ceiling?
But if the Senate sends you a CR that doesn't have border security that you like.
Let's walk through this. During the debt ceiling, did they pass anything? During this border crisis of this entire year, have they passed anything to deal with it? No, but the House has, and the Senate hasn't acted. During the crisis for parents about the education of their children, the House passed a Parents' Bill of Rights. They've done nothing sad on it. The energy crisis, where people are paying more for fuel than at any time. Well, the House has passed a bill to deal with that, to make us energy independent. They haven't done anything with it. So all I'm saying, everything it seems the president touched has failed. This Biden economics, highest inflation. His policies when it comes to subsidize just electric cars has the workers striking. And he's going to go to them who's caused the strike to start out with, taking away their jobs. The president, it's in his hands. He can keep the government open by taking an action on the border, and then let's sit down, finish the bills we haven't, and let's work the rest of it.
Just to be clear, your message to the president, is either come on board and work on something with immigration, or the government will shut down.
No, it's just look, the Senate has done nothing.
But they're going to pass
counting,
the CR. You know they were going to pass
Mr. Speaker,
the Senate has done nothing, okay? And so if the president wants to make sure that we can keep government funded and continue to work on the bills that the House has been working on a lot, the Senate hopefully starts taking them up, take an action on the border. And you know what? That's not me saying that. That's the governor of New York, the governor of Massachusetts, the mayor of New York City. These are prominent Democrats that have been begging this president. The president wouldn't even see the mayor of New York when he was up there.
Will that be enough?
We appreciate you for stopping and want to let you go so you can carry on your other business. But bottom line to our viewers, can you guarantee that there will not be a shutdown at the end of this week?
Look, I have worked all my time to make sure that there would not be a shutdown. You've watched me put item after item on the floor. I even went all the way back when we did the debt ceiling to put a provision in there that if the work's not done, you get 1% cut across the board. It's made the Senate act in committee, but they haven't been able to act on the floor yet. With the weird thing here, the president is the highest elected person in the nation. The president is the one person that is determining the current policy that we have on the border. The House has passed a bill to deal with it. The Senate has done nothing with it. The president can really come down to this and make sure government stays open. All he has to do, take some action on the border to secure it, so those border agents don't come back bloody, so there's not trains of people just running in, so the fentanyl doesn't keep filling our schools and killing our children. And you know what? We're going to pass the CR that deals with it. He can say he wants to do something with it. I'll join with him, and we'll keep government open, and we'll finish out the rest of that. I don't think that's too much for America or what anybody else has.
Thank you. Okay, so you just heard from the Speaker of the House and probably got a little sampling of what our gaggles are like with the Speaker, but what he is emphasizing is that he believes that it is important to have border security as part of a short-term spending package. And so while the House will be moving forward on some appropriations bills today that will fund the government for a longer period of time, there's also this stopgap measure that has to be passed in both chambers. And what the Speaker is saying is that has to address border security. It sounds like he is interested in having a meeting with President Biden on this, which is new. But as you heard from him there, it also sounds like he is trying to put the onus on the White House that if you don't go along with our plan, then, it's on the president as far as potentially shutting down the government. You also did not hear him give any type of guarantee that the government won't shut down. And I think this really kind of highlights the area that we are in, because the House is moving on one track. Over in the Senate, you have senators working on their own short-term spending package, one that will likely not include border security, even though it would strip out, for instance, aid for Ukraine, disaster funding, which are priorities that the Biden administration wants, which are priorities that many Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans want. They simply are trying to strip as much out of it so that it could pass over here in the House. That right now is something that the Speaker does not seem willing to entertain. He wants to see his plan go forward, and if not, potentially risk a government shutdown.
That's right. We're hearing there McCarthy really siding with that far right of the party that's echoing some of those notions that former President Trump ran on, equating migrants and asylum seekers and all immigrants to terrorists, to rapists. So we know who's got his ear. Nikole Killion, thank you.
You bet.